The first time I noticed her differently, it wasn't under fairy lights or on some dramatic night. It was during a thunderstorm in the middle of our shared dorm room. We'd lived side by side for years, laughed over instant ramen, cried during finals, shared hoodies like second skin. But that night, something shifted. Outside, the rain was loud, yet inside, it was the silence between us that demanded attention. I glanced over, her head resting on the wall, earbuds dangling from her lap, her eyes lost somewhere far. "You okay?" I asked, not really expecting much. She turned and smiled, small, hesitant. "You ever wonder," she started, then stopped, "if people like us are always meant to stay hidden?" That hit something in me, something I'd buried under sarcasm and Spotify playlists. "I don't want to hide," I whispered. "Not anymore." She looked up sharply. "Then don't." A beat. "Would you let me kiss you?" she asked, voice barely audible over the storm. And suddenly, I wasn't thinking, I was moving. Toward her, into her, our lips met. Not like in the movies, but like memory returning. Soft, unspoken, familiar. When we pulled apart, her eyes shimmered. "Was that okay?" I nodded, heart pounding against every bone. That night, we didn't rush into labels. We didn't map out forever. We just curled into one another's warmth, listening to the rain tap the windows like it was writing our names in Morse code. The next morning, we didn't talk about it, but she made my coffee without asking, just the way I like it. She laughed at my stupid jokes, sat a little closer than usual, and when we brushed hands reaching for the same pen, she didn't pull away. We didn't call it love, but it was something real. It started with a stare too long to be accidental. We were getting ready for a low-key house party. I sat on my bed tying my boots while she stood by the mirror, adjusting her necklace. Her back was to me, the soft outline of her shoulder glowing under the warm dorm lights. "Can you help me with this clasp?" she asked, voice calm, like nothing was unusual. But when I walked over, touched the nape of her neck with my fingertips, her breath hitched. Mine did too. "You okay?" I asked. She met my eyes in the mirror. "Just thinking." "About?" She hesitated, then, turning to face me, said it. "Do you ever feel like we've always been more than just friends?" The world paused. My hands still lingered behind her neck, but everything else went still. My reply came without thinking. "I think I've always known." Her lips parted slightly. She stepped closer. "Then why haven't we done anything about it?" "Because I didn't want to lose you," I whispered. But maybe I already was. By pretending. So I kissed her, not with fanfare, not with fear, but with the certainty of someone finding their name after forgetting how to say it. It wasn't electric or cinematic. It was soft, familiar, like something we'd been waiting to return to. That night, we didn't label anything. We didn't even talk about it. But we lay under the same blanket, her forehead resting against my temple. Her hand found mine in the dark. Our fingers fit like they had 100 times before, only now it meant something different. And still, the morning came without drama. She handed me coffee with a sleepy smile. I wore her hoodie without asking. At breakfast, she nudged my knee under the table like always, but the way she looked at me now, there was no hiding in it. We were the same and completely changed. Maybe the best kind of love isn't about grand declarations. Maybe it's when everything quiets and one person finally says the thing both of you have been feeling for years. The day after she kissed me for the first time, the sun rose the same. But nothing else felt familiar. I woke to the sound of rain tapping on the window, soft like a memory. Across the room, she was already awake, curled under her blanket with her eyes on me. No words were spoken, just a small smile passed between us like a secret handshake. Neither of us brought it up at first. We got dressed, shared coffee, walked to class with shoulders brushing. It was all so normal, except my heart kept skipping whenever our fingers came too close, like something sacred was blooming, quietly, between the cracks of what we used to be. That evening, as we sat on the floor with open textbooks and untouched snacks, she said it out loud. "I've been thinking about last night." I looked up, cautious. "Yeah?" She tucked a curl behind her ear, her voice soft. It didn't feel like a mistake. Relief flooded me so quickly I almost laughed. It didn't feel like a mistake to me either. She scooted closer, knees brushing mine. "But I'm scared, Lena. Not of you, just of everything changing." I understood more than I could say, the fear of ruining something precious by reaching for more. But wasn't it already changing? "You don't have to be afraid," I said. "Not here. Not with me." And when she reached for my hand, I held on like I meant it. Later that night, we lay in my bed, not touching, just breathing in sync. The space between our bodies was electric, charged with everything unsaid. "Can I stay here tonight?" she whispered. I didn't even need to answer. I just pulled the blanket back and opened my arms. She came to me like a tide returning to shore. No more pretending, no more guessings. In the hush of that room, wrapped in warmth and trembling hope, I realized this was real. This was us, and we didn't need to define it yet, because sometimes love doesn't announce itself. It simply stays, quiet, certain, unshakable. It started with music, not the kind that blasted at parties, but a soft, unfamiliar song playing from her speaker while we sat on the dorm floor, half-eaten cookies between us and sauce-stained paper towels scattered like confetti. We were a mess, but a beautiful one. "Dance with me," she said suddenly, standing and extending her hand like it wasn't the scariest thing in the world. "In here?" I laughed, glancing around the tight space between our twin beds. "We'll make room," she whispered, and somehow we did. I placed my hand in hers. Her fingers were warm, sure. She pulled me close, our bodies fitting like a memory we hadn't made yet. I rested my cheek on her shoulder, listening to her hum against my skin. It wasn't perfect. We stumbled, stepped on toes, laughed quietly, but still, we didn't let go. "This is ridiculous," I mumbled. "Yeah," she grinned, "and I love it." We didn't need confessions. The way her forehead rested against mine, the way her arms wrapped around my waist. It was all there, a language that lived between us now, spoken in glances and shared silence. Later that night, she wore my hoodie to bed without asking. She always did, but something about it felt more permanent. I brushed my teeth and found her waiting, cross-legged, eyes on me like she'd been waiting forever. "Stay with me tonight?" she asked. I nodded and slipped under the blanket beside her. No rush, no expectation, just the soft inhale and exhale of two hearts sinking in the dark. Her fingers found mine beneath the sheets. They didn't tremble, they held. And I knew, whatever this was becoming, it was honest, the kind of closeness that doesn't demand answers, that doesn't need to shout its name, just two girls dancing in the quiet, slowly realizing that what they've been afraid to say has already been written in every touch, every pause, every breath. At first, it was just another lunch. The cafeteria buzzed like always, clinking trays, half-laughed jokes, the scent of overcooked fries. But when I walked in and saw her laughing with someone else, something in me stilled. A girl I barely knew, tall, confident, with perfect eyeliner, sat close beside her. Too close. Their laughter felt private, like I had walked into a story that didn't belong to me. I sat next to her. She smiled, polite, but not quite warm, not the kind that used to melt me. "Hey," I said. "Hey," she replied, but her eyes drifted back to the girl. I tried to swallow the ache. I told myself I was being silly, overreacting. We weren't official, whatever this was. But when her hand didn't find mine like it used to under the table, I felt it. Distance. That night, I couldn't sit still. I tossed my hoodie onto the bed and sat at the edge, staring at nothing. She was at her desk, earbuds in, typing. "So, You and Ava seem close, I said, my voice thinner than I wanted. She turned, brow raised. We're working on a class project. Right. You looked like you were having fun. She paused, reading me like a worn book. Are you upset? I hesitated. Then the words spilled. I just felt invisible today. The air between us cracked. She stood slowly, crossed the room, and sat beside me. You're never invisible to me, she said. But you're allowed to feel this. I just wish you'd said something sooner. I was scared, I admitted, that I'd seemed too much, too needy. Her hand found mine, fingers intertwining like they were meant to. You're not too much. You're mine. I leaned into her shoulder and she pressed her forehead to mine. We'll mess up, she whispered. But I won't walk away when it gets messy. And in that moment, I knew love didn't mean never being jealous. It meant being able to say, this hurt me, and hearing, I'm still here. I woke up to the sound of her breathing, uneven, soft, but broken. In the quiet hush of our dorm room, I turned over and saw her curled up, facing the wall, her shoulders trembling beneath the blanket. Maya, I whispered, not wanting to startle her. No answer. I moved closer, reaching out gently, placing my hand on her back. Hey, I'm right here. She turned slowly, and even in the dim light, I could see the tears on her cheeks. Her eyes were puffy, her lips quivering. It hurt to look at her like that, like something inside her had cracked wide open. My mom called, she whispered, voice hoarse. She saw the pictures. Us. The poetry cafe, the one where you kissed my cheek outside. My chest tightened. I remembered that night clearly, how happy she was, how free. And now she was falling apart because love had a price. She said, I embarrassed her, Maya continued. She doesn't want me coming home for break, not unless I fix myself. I wrapped my arms around her, pulling her close. She didn't resist. She melted into me like she needed someone to hold all her shattered pieces in place. You're not broken, I murmured into her hair. You're not wrong for loving me. You're not too much. You're just real. Her hands clutched the back of my shirt. It still hurts, she said. Even knowing she's wrong, it still hurts. I know, I whispered, but I've got you. I'll always have you. We lay there in the dark, heartbeats sinking slowly, as if building something unshakable from the ruin. You don't have to go home, I said. Come to mine. My family already loves you. We'll watch bad holiday movies and eat until we can't move. She let out a half laugh, half sob. Why do you love me like this? I kissed her forehead gently. Because you're worth it. That night, we didn't talk about what came next. We didn't try to fix the world. We just held each other tighter. And in that silence, I realized this was love that didn't break when it was tested. It just held on harder. Winter break came quietly. The dorms slowly emptied, suitcases rolled across icy sidewalks, doors shut with soft goodbyes. Maya didn't pack. Her suitcase stayed untouched under the bed. She didn't talk about her mum after that call. Not directly, but I saw it in the way she stared too long out the window, in how tightly she gripped my hand when we watched silly sitcoms. Her laughter came, but it took longer to arrive. My parents welcomed her like they always had. My mum made enough food for 10 people, and my dad immediately launched into one of his infamous rambles about college days that somehow ended with a bad joke. Maya smiled through it all, but it was the quieter moments that meant everything. Maya braiding my little sister's hair by the fireplace. Maya helping my mum bake cookies, flour smudged across her cheek like a child at play. Maya sneaking down the hallway with me at midnight, whispering like kids sharing secrets under blankets. One night, we curled up on the living room couch beneath an oversized blanket, a movie playing we weren't really watching. She laid with her head on my chest, fingers lazily tracing shapes on my arm. I've been thinking, she said softly. About? Next semester. Going back. What will be? I turned to face her fully, brushing her hair behind her ear. We'll be whatever we want to be. I don't want to hide anymore, she whispered. Not in the hallways, not in the lunchroom. I'm tired of pretending we're just close friends with matching mugs and long hugs. I took her hand. Then don't. We don't owe anyone their comfort at the cost of our truth. Her eyes shimmered in the dim light. You make me brave. And you make me certain, I replied. We kissed then, slow, grounding, real. It wasn't about proving anything, just anchoring each other in a world that often felt shaky. That night, wrapped in each other's arms, the word home stopped meaning a place with walls and family photos. It meant Maya's breath on my neck, her laugh in my ear, her love, steady and unrushed. And for the first time in a long time, she slept soundly. We returned to campus just as the snow began to melt, ice shrinking back into gutters, students trickling in with sleepy eyes and oversized scarves. But something about us had changed, not loudly, not for the world to notice. Quietly, like breath softening against a lover's skin. Maya didn't hold my hand in front of crowds, but when we passed each other between classes, our fingers brushed just enough to say, I'm still here. When we studied in the library, she'd slide her notes over with a tiny smile, our knees touching under the table. One Thursday evening, we skipped the dining hall and microwaved leftovers in our room. I spilled soup on my shirt and she laughed, grabbing a napkin and dabbing my chest with all the seriousness of a surgeon. Hopeless, she whispered. Yours, I replied, and for the first time, the word didn't scare me. Later, she pulled out her sketch pad and sprawled on her bed, hair tied up messily. I watched her from the other side of the room, pretending to read, but really tracing the curve of her back with my eyes. She looked up suddenly, catching me mid-stare. What? She asked. You're beautiful when you don't notice yourself, I said. She blushed, closed the sketch pad, and walked over. Dance with me? There's no music, I laughed. We'll make our own. In the sliver of space between our beds, we swayed, her arms wrapped around my neck, mine resting on her waist. No rhythm, no audience. Just two girls holding on to something fragile and real. As the night deepened, she leaned in and whispered, Sometimes I wonder when this stops feeling like a dream. It doesn't, I said. That's the trick. You just learn to live in it. We kissed slowly, her fingers threading through mine, like we were writing a story neither of us wanted to end. And in that tiny room, with its peeling posters and broken blinds, I realized that love didn't always need grand declarations or fireworks. Sometimes it was the soup-stained shirts, offbeat dancing, and kisses that tasted like forever.